I did it. What's that?
I'm making tea and it's really hot. Hold on.
Well, good hot tea on a very hot day. Listen, the idea of this episode, it's just us chit chatting. I had an idea for a guest, but I didn't quite get it nailed down in time. So we're just doing it this way. But, Kerry and I have a lot to talk about. The whole concept of the show is success insights from unusual places. And we are two people who have had success in unusual places. So we're going to introduce and interview each other on the topic of reinvention. How do you rework your work? And anything that comes up, and this one's going to rely heavily on your questions and your answers, so get in that chat and start saying hello.
Hi everyone, Tim Kitzrow from NBA Jam and NFL Blitz, welcoming you to The Backpack Show. Your hosts, Chris Brogan, Kerry Gorgone, Boom Shakalaka.
Backpack Show. And just like that, we have Mr. Bear here already. So hello to Mr. Bear. Good to see you. Hot tea is amazing all the time. Are you having green or black?
It's black. It's Yorkshire biscuit tea. So it tastes like you're having a cookie, especially if you put like lemonade in it. If you're one of those people, I did not do it today, but it'll taste like a lemon frosted cookie. It's so good. But anyway, I made the smart decision to brew some right before this. And then when you go to take the tea bags out, I don't know if you're like a squeeze it with the spoon type of person against the side, but like it was very hot. But survived. Everybody survived.
No harm came to any tea makers today. So you and I have had quite a vast array of careers. I may outstrip you by a couple of extra jobs here and there, but we've both done a few different things in our careers. I thought it might be an interesting conversation to have with people who come along today about reinvention and like, what do you do to rework the work? And one reason I wanted to talk about it is because sometimes you can keep the same company, you can work at the same company and have different roles as well. But also in that whole process, if you're always thinking about in what ways should you be or not be put together, like what kinds of things you're supposed to have happen or whatnot, then you can really see the world differently. So for example, you started this career journey of yours, your biggest professional start was as a lawyer. So maybe we can kind of go from that forward. How did you make your first big jump from lawyer to marketing? And hello, my dad.
Oh boy. So let's see. I was a law clerk, which is super fun. You work for judges and research opinions and get as much time as you need to like do the thing. And that's great. Intellectual challenge, super fun. When you transition into the practice of law, whole different ball of wax. It's like you have a client who doesn't have a lot of money, but has a really complicated problem, but just like do it as fast as you can. Or we have this client who has lots of money and it's a pretty easy problem, but they have a certain outcome that they want and you can't tell them no. So like you have a whole different set of challenges. Didn't love it. That part of it, didn't love it. I was in litigation, not in corporate. Things might have been different if I went in corporate. I can't say. But I ended up wanting to transition into something else. And I did big firm, small firm, litigation, complex issues, and then real estate and probate. Like I just tried different things to see if I could make it kind of work for me. But lifestyle wise wasn't super. So I got into teaching law to undergraduates, which is a lot of fun. And because adjunct pay doesn't go very far, I was also back in marketing because I had a degree in MBA in international business and an undergraduate degree in business communication. So I had done internships in marketing. I'd had jobs in marketing. So I just kind of went back over there and I was running a college magazine during the day. And then at night I was teaching business law, marketing law, and other subjects of interest to students. So that's kind of how that occurred. I did make some calls to my former mentor when I was marketing and I had an internship and like a summer job. I was really tight with my boss. So I called her back up and chatted with her and she's like, you have tons of transferable skills. And we sort of talked it through. I talked to a career counselor as well, but she had like a very specific idea of what she thought would be good for me. And I didn't necessarily, I don't know. I guess I'm a little like you. I'm like, you're not my real dad. Don't tell me what to do.
Yeah, I mean, excuse me. I think that pointing out the difference between what it seemed like the role was going to be versus your actual real life experience, understanding that work-life balance was going to get smooshed against the walls, and how you didn't really want that. I mean, those are some of the things that come up. Luckily, in that particular case, it was your choice that led this. There's a lot of people whose, conditions change because their life changes, or something else happens. Jane had mentioned, I said it's like tricky to kind of reinvent yourself and rework yourself. And she said, especially when you own it. I mean, that's another whole aspect of this. Jane runs PR and largely with beauty organizations and all that. And I was thinking about it, which is that she was saying, when you rework it, but I was thinking about PR, like in the land of AI, where SEO is no longer part of PR. I mean, even that role has to change a lot. And I was also listening, I mean, you run content right now at a B2B SaaS organization. And I was listening to part of your experience where you were saying that it's just different than it used to be. Like now that we have all these AI tools to kind of help us do X and Y, it means we could focus so much more on Z. So yeah, that sort of retooling within a job is interesting too. What's that bring to mind when I talk about that stuff?
Well, what's interesting is I started when I left law and went into marketing again. I was managing editor of a college publication. And now I report to the editor-in-chief for content at a B2B SaaS company. So it's like very full circle moment. I think at this point, it's become clear to everyone, whether you use AI to its kind of highest advantage or not, that it's changing expectations. So even if you were like, nah, I like the craft, I don't want to use AI for anything, you'd be really hard pressed to keep a job in tech right now. I don't know how it is in other spaces, but like in tech for sure, doing what you were doing the old fashioned way. So you're going to have to some degree, apply AI to make yourself more efficient, to scale your operations. That does not mean that you're going to like pull up stakes on craftsmanship or anything, that you're going to give up writing when you love writing. It just means you're going to have to find ways to use AI to expedite your stuff, which is kind of what I think you heard me talking about today. I'm lagging. I had to close some stuff out.
Did you not follow the rule of the Backpack Show to close a whole bunch of apps? So Jane's pointing out the GEO and AEO and all that. Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of new things. I mean, here's one really simple case. So if in the old days with map SEO, with Google Maps SEO, which small businesses thrive on, it used to all be based on one question: who is the most proximate? That, if you're searching for X, like you're searching for a blowout bar nearest to where you are, that's all they're going to give is proximity. That's all that matters. But now someone might say, I need a blowout bar that is open late Thursday nights because that's my night off or whatever. And that needs to show up somewhere in your local reviews and all that sort of a thing. And so there's like all this new tacticality that has to happen. That's not a word. That has to happen in PR, for instance. But it's like all jobs are like that, right? Like right now, I think it must be so insane. I was looking at my dad. Dad used to do computer programming way back in the day. I was looking at the fact that to be a computer programmer now, to be a coder, developer, an engineer, whatever title you need, you have to know how to do certain things with AI or you'd be crazy. Like, you'd be so much slower than all the other people. It's like when web design started getting more and more interesting, and there was always that one guy's like, I just open up a notepad file. And you're like, yeah, I mean, yes, but that doesn't mean you're doing all that stuff. How do you think, in what way, or how can someone start, how do you hear the tide and realize that's going to really hit you or not? And where do you start to think about where to put your marbles? Like, where do you start to invest your time and efforts the way you are right now as you're redesigning?
Well, first of all, I think that there's a benefit to being open to change kind of in any context. So that's just going to be true kind of life in general. I think things are wildly different than they were when I graduated. They're wildly different for most of us. It is a rare piece of good news for experienced, seasoned workers, this evolution of AI, because the current stage of it requires professional judgment and discernment that is only gained through experience. It's a bummer to be like a new grad looking for an entry-level job. It sucks right now. But how often does it bite us as older folks who've been in the business a long time when you're looking for roles or like trying to make the most of the role you have or wanting to get promoted internally? It can be difficult because those like decades of experience make you sound, like a decrepit old person. So now it's like, hey, I can take with AI or any of the tools that use it, I can now 10x like my content operation. I can at the same time improve quality and consistency and optimize for results instead of having to just use so much of my time to keep up and do menial things. That's where I think the opportunity is, and it is rare to be in this situation. So when you're listening to the news and hearing everybody talk about AI and thinking, oh my God, I wish I didn't have to think about it. That's been true of so many different things. But in every case, if you find the way that it could work for you, there are advantages. I think especially now for experienced workers looking for like a career enhancement to make the case for themselves using AI.
No, I could see that for sure. I do think you sort of sketched it. I'll put a little highlighter around your sketch. It definitely, there's a difference between people who see the wave coming and just say, versus people who go, who am I in that new world? And I think if you don't ask that question, I think if you don't like really intentionally kind of put yourself to that question and not just give it, you're not just speaking to it. You know what I mean? You're not just pretending. I think that there's a real opportunity in those moments where your great amount of experience can really be put to use. Like when you said you could 10x, that's not like a fake number. Oh my God, I'm speaking like an AI. That's not this, it's this. That's not a fake number. Like that's a real thing you can show because, for instance, in your agile environment, you're tracking story points and your story points are off the chart compared to someone who doesn't have the tools available, which isn't to say that they should bury you underneath it or whatever, or reassess what they consider that amount of story points. But I do think that the difference is I was having a conversation with this wonderful developer, John Ackley, and I said, John, I'm accidentally a developer right now. I don't know very fundamental things about, like, say, architecture. And he said, well, I got to tell you this. That is a challenge because you're going to need that stuff. And I said, so wait, so how do I find it? Because I do feel like I'm standing on the shoulders of giants. I feel like it's like unearned. So turning that back to you, unless you need to be off screen, when we get to those moments where there's a chance to turn away from the new thing or face a new turn in our life, how do you know? Because how do you know that that's not the time when you should just get off the field too? What's your thought there?
I don't know. Is retirement still a thing people do? Because it's never seemed to me like a realistic option, but also I don't think I would like it. I would be bored, and I'm not building towards that. I'm building towards having a life that from beginning to end will be of interest to me. And so when something presents itself that's different, you can, of course, reject it and stick to what you know. Or, and I've seen you do this multiple times, you can give it a look. Now, maybe it turns out to be garbage and you hate it and you don't use it anymore. That happens probably a lot, right? For different things. I remember when everybody was talking about blockchain and everybody was talking about crypto and social media and, whatever. Go back. And there's always something. It's worth picking things up and trying them because it fires your neurons. It gets you going. And to me, at least, there's no greater pleasure. Like that's what my life is. It's not, this is what I do. And if something changes it, it will be burdensome and annoying. It's like, I want to learn new things. I want to experiment, which is half the battle with AI, because people who are intimidated by the idea of it are afraid to get in there and mess around. And somebody just saw today, like somebody on my team was seeing what I was doing. I'm like, yeah, it's super sloppy. Like I'm not hyper worried about the prompt by the time I get to the point of doing the work, because I've like added a whole bunch of context in the form of a markdown file and it has everything it needs. Now I'm just like, yeah, do the thing. It's super easy at that point, right? But you have to experiment to get to that point. Oh, your dad said, I use AI in many aspects of my life, but I'm aware that it's not necessarily logical. AI is faster at processing and can arrive at wrong answers quickly if we do not verify the logic. Oh, of course, verify everything. Verify everything. But also you game the system and, improve the possibility of an accurate result by giving it all the context it needs. If you just go, write me a white paper about Agile, it's going to just come up with garbage from wherever. But like if you give it a paper you already wrote and say, I need to update this because I don't talk about AI in it, for example, what are some areas where you feel like an AI would naturally fit into this discussion of going Agile? Like how can it enhance and improve it? So that's all, always looking for the next chance to try something out.
So we've talked for a long time about the fact that sort of my pantheon of fantasy jobs that I think would be super fun to have, or businesses I would love to own. Like if someone gave me a couple of $1 million and said, go do something with this money, I would absolutely not do what anyone would think. I'd probably buy trash trucks and run a little trash truck company. But when I think that, what I also think is I would mostly be kind of working on how do I improve the logistics? How do I improve the operations? There would be no amazing marketing. I would just be a cool trash truck guy. But I would do the things that I would imagine or learn that other organizations didn't quite do, and I would do them better. I also was thinking when you were saying this, and your point before the point, was that in life and in reworking your career and making your choices the way you want them, you have to feel a pull. Like you have to be drawn towards something to make choices and changes in your life. I mean, this is not the same as you get fired, you need a job, you change a career because you need a job. This is when you're kind of angling and you're thinking about it and you're saying, geez, I gotta really rethink what I'm doing here. Like if someone was I think there's a fork in the road for ghostwriters right now. I think some people are going to be able to be like, yep, I'm just going to let robots write stuff. But here's the catch. You and I can read AI writing now instantly. We instantly go, that's AI. Like it's almost always super obvious. And that's not a skill you acquire. That's a skill you live. So I'm just saying, I think it's you have to be drawn to a certain thing. And I think that when you are drawn to a certain thing, you start picking up your experiences.
First of all, your dad popped in and said, exactly, phrasing the question is very important. It goes on and on. Like if you're into building agents or whatever, configuring them with instructions and context is very, very important. And then Gigo rules. Gigo, JDO.
Garbage in, garbage out.
Oh my gosh, always. So I was thinking, every decision I've made in my life, and they haven't all been sensible by other people's standards, every decision I've made career-wise has been to get the life I want. So I'm not just building a career, like I'm building and living a life. So what kind of life do I want to have? Do I want to work outside? Like not really. Do I want to work inside? Do I want to use my brain? Do I want to use my brawn? What kind of things do I want to engage with? And I want creative work. Like I need creative work. I need a creative outlet, and I need to learn new things all the time. So for me, this is it's kind of an exciting time. It's a very scary time, but it's an exciting time too, because I get to explore new things all the time. And I think I just had this conversation with some folks who were saying, I don't have time to learn kind of this new AI stuff. I have work to do. I'm like, yes, but now's the time you do both at once. You experiment and see which boring, menial, repetitive, non-creative parts of the work can you use AI to replace, and thereby you get faster and open up time to explore anything you want. So it's like, think about shaping the life you want. I know it's really hard when you're under pressure and you've got people to provide for. I know that pressure, but this is your life too. So it's one of those things where if you can do whatever thing while you're building, alongside, then great, make that happen. If you can't, then I guess there'd be some hard questions to answer. But I mean, I left law. I've answered hard questions before, so I get it.
Lincoln said, give me 6 hours to chop down a tree and I'll spend the first 4 sharpening the axe. That's this, right? Like if you don't learn some of these new tools, you're saying, I would like to do this the hard way, please. Not having a food processor in a professional kitchen would be insane, unless you're, Michelin and you have to live to an even different standard, but regular old kitchen, no. I bought an air fryer and was like, oh my gosh, this is why people own these. And I'm not a kitchen gadget guy. I do not like kitchen gadgets. And I was like, oh, my life has changed. This is that to me. Like some of this is that, but then the other thing you have to think about, I just realized that a skill that we all need and need to cultivate a little bit better, does not matter what job in the universe, it is modeling. I don't mean like, look how glamorous I look. I mean, putting a model together that helps you better understand what you're trying to get for an outcome, what it's going to entail, all those other parts. Like if you don't model a system, you don't understand like, what's that going to entail? What does this need? How do I get out? What, how much expense will be in this? When I first started working with my man, Rob Hatch, he would like, at first I'd be like, Rob, we're going to launch this thing. And he's like, cool. I was like, Rob, we're going to launch this thing. Cool. And we did this over and over again, all my own money, just like burn my money. And Rob finally goes, look, I'm going to push back if that's okay. Like he finally just felt confident. He goes, have we talked about what would this look like? And that phrase, what would this look like, was at once the best thing I ever learned and the worst sentence he ever asked me, because I just wanted him to do what I said, do my bidding. What would this look like is a superpower, because then Rob would say, you're predicting this amount of revenue. And I think that's probably the right kind of revenue. I think you probably get that number. You're not predicting how many hours of drudgery work you're going to hate are going to tie you to that revenue. And I went, I am not. And he goes, right, because you're an optimist and you're a weirdo and you like the creative part, you don't like the drudgery part. And that changed everything. So I think modeling kind of matters.
So first, Jane's got a comment in here. Make the time now or you will have a lot of time. Yes, it's very true. I wanted to say to you, why not trash truck? Why not trash truck? Is there a path that gets you from no trash truck to trash truck? Like what avenues are available to you that you haven't explored yet to launch the trash truck thing? And what would that look like?
It's capital intensive is the problem. It's one of those businesses where it's $100,000 to $180,000 per truck, not counting maintenance, to run a business. So if I'm a 1-truck business, then that means my route will never pay me back the truck. If I'm a 4-truck route, then I need employees because I can't ride all 4 trucks at the same time. So there's a steep ramp at the start that keeps you out of it. So the way to get through it would be an owner sale. So the owner says, I want to get out of this business. None of my kids want this business. This weird Santa Claus wants my business. I will owner finance it. I'll bring him on as an employee, and I will slowly transition and make like a 5-year payoff kind of a project. So it's a thing I could do. But I have to decide whether or not it's just my sort of tism. Like am I just looking at these trucks because I like the rust and I think it's really cool? I know that they smell. Like everyone's like, oh, garbage smells. Yes, water's wet.
You don't keep it in your house.
No, exactly. Trash truck doesn't go under my pillow as much as I maybe need one. But I can say that, I haven't thought those logistics out. Like I haven't thought, like, is this a business where I could want to keep doing it? Or, and this is a really important thing when you talk about reinventing, are you accidentally buying a job? Because that is the difference between owning and buying something.
Couple of things there. That's really interesting. So it's good to be realistic about what is required. I have a similar thing where like I'll fantasize about, it would be cool to have like a side business, doing X or Y. And then, but at the end of each day, I am very tired. So you've got your own capacity to consider. Then again, like Jane said, you don't spend the time now, you have a lot of time on your hands later. So yeah, I don't know. There's a happy medium somewhere in here. And it'd be fun to explore. But I think my point is there's lots of people right now working at jobs that are either at risk because of AI or that they just don't like and never have liked. And there are paths now, I think more than ever, to get you from having a fantasy idea about what business you might like to run and getting you behind the wheel of an actual business. There is easy now. Not easy, but like easier than it used to be. You can get help, putting together proposals. You can use AI for that. You can get help running models, like you were saying, but what success looks like, what potential disasters you might run into that you could now plan against in advance so your business doesn't immediately go under because of something you didn't know. Like, there's just a lot more opportunity, and I think you can protect yourself from a lot of what would have been unforeseen risks in a way that you couldn't before. So I'm just putting that out there kind of for folks. And then your papa says, Fitbit AI suggests exercises based on what I have, 2 5-pound dumbbells and 2 8-pound dumbbells, because I use 2 of the 5-pound dumbbells for an exercise. It thinks I have a set of 10-pound dumbbells. Okay, well, that's because AI can be a dumbbell. Like, if you don't give it the information, it's not going to know the information.
That information is very important to my dad. He's made it clear that it doesn't know things. Speaking of people who have done really good modeling, Chloe Forbes Kinlan has modeled a really incredible way to set up your business with Notion. And you briefly tuned into Chloe's live build thing the other day where she was building Notion stuff. That was like, it's a real cool thing because she's just saying, come along and co-work with me, work on the thing you're working on, and I'm working on my thing. But I watched her do some of what's in this offering, and it was incredible. I was just like, how do you even do it? I asked her the question, how did you get so fast at this? Like how long did it take you? And as she was working on the answer, I got a phone call, so I didn't get to hear the full answer. I'm sad to report. But Chloe is a good supporter of the show, wonderful supporter of us, and a really lovely person, and I adore her. So check it out, businessops.co/backpack. And our friend Fazia Burke, who went from world-class book publicist to also someone who helps you learn practical tools for using AI. So you can go to faziaburke.substack.com and check out her cool little newsletter.
I think Fazia's audience or community remains authors, publishers, people kind of in that space. So yes, AI, but also if you're an author and you're looking to maybe figure out how to plan your marketing and promotion with AI, should probably be an excellent person to follow for you.
I mentioned earlier something about how you and I can smell AI writing a mile away. Nate B. Jones, who's this guy that I watch on YouTube a whole lot, was having a point about this today, saying, don't have the AI write for you. Have it do the writing experience, like the other stuff you need to be a writer. You and I both do that. You and I don't ask it to draft as such. We use it to make our drafts better and do some of the other work that it takes to get writing out. So it's another point to make, is just, if you're like, this tool doesn't do it the way I want it to, maybe you're not using it the right part.
It's so true that AI writing is really painfully obvious. I got an email from someone, and I've known them for a long time, but we do not correspond a lot. It's one of those situations. And it was this very long email, and it was clearly AI written. And I was like, are they making fun of me? I was literally trying to figure it out. Like, are they serious right now? But at the end, they asked me for something. So I think that they were serious. And I was like, holy cow, this is probably the worst email I've seen, like, from this person ever. So it was a very interesting experience. Suffice it to say that people do recognize AI slop when they see it, and you do not want to be the person purveying AI slop. So you find a way to replace the drudgery. Do not replace the creative and unique, beautiful things about your contributions to the work.
So my dad made a point, and this is straight up and down about AI. This isn't about reworking. I think we did a pretty good job of making the episode about reworking, but I'm going to go into a little AI show and tell for anybody who's here and handy. I'm not going to type anything. I'll just explain it. He said, at least once a day, I correct the AI. It never seems to remember that fact. And he's back on the dumbbells again. The difference between using an AI just as a chat tool versus having some sort of memory document, which is what I've started to call MD files, which really means markdown. AI used, like in the ways that Kerry and I do it for work, is almost built entirely on markdown files, which is to say we write context, we have the robots write context, it makes a document, and you just say, refer to this document. And in the document, there are rules. So for instance, even in just talking to me, I have rules for Claude, in which never use an M dash, never ever use any variant of the word honest or honestly, never use true, real, or any of those kind of words. No contrast phrasing. It's not X, it's Y. Never ever say something like, here's the real blank. And so I will start every session always in every AI thing that I do with that. Unless I'm on Gemini just saying, hey, what's that guy in that movie? What was his name? Because I can't stand that crazy memory problem. It feels like Dory in Finding Nemo. And so MD, memory document, markdown file. So if you want to have a smarter conversation with the robot, when you start a new thread, feed it some file that has some of your rules in it, and it'll work a lot better. Anything to add to that one?
Yeah, Claude actually has, if you use Claude, like has a section for instructions, and it's just about you and your preferences. So it's like, this is who I am, this is what I do, this is how I use AI, you included, and this is how I want you to talk to me. And obviously you can modify or whatever at any time, but you will get more from any tool if you set it up the way that makes sense for you, right? So like if I have a blender, but I put it in the bathroom, I'm not going to use it very much. So it's kind of like that. It's like set the tool up so that it will be useful to you. Otherwise, you're going to be telling it 170,000 times that you have 2 5-pound dumbbells and not 1 10-pound dumbbell.
Which again, I mean, using Fitbit AI is a very different use case because you're supposed to just be chitty chatting with it, and that's all that sort of a thing. So. And now Dad's saying, I get AI generated phone calls at least twice a day saying my loan is almost ready, but they never say my name or the company. Yeah, that's because that's spam. And AI has come up with new ways to make millions of people have some spam. But
now's the time, set a safe word with your family that if you're ever actually in trouble, you will call them and you will say 11 November. And that's how they'll know that it's you.
That spanking was too hard. Different safe word. You know, I was thinking about how much more complicated that is, you know, the kinds of phone calls you used to get. My Grammy, this is a real story. I know sometimes I make jokes about my grandparents. My Grammy once called up and said, tell your mother the chicken lady is dead.
And here's our person of the day. Kaboom!
You didn't pick one.
Jane, you are our person of the day. That is so great. Congratulations. Merry Christmas. You get a free apple. Just go to any goddamn store you goddamn want to just take an apple off the shelf.
Hey, easy.
Congratulations, Jane.